All right, guys, I want to walk you through how to use image overlays along with clipping masks to kind of add some icing on the cake with this colorized self-portrait. So um, to show you what I mean by that, you might notice over here if I zoom in and point it out that there is an image of a tree with some branches and some leaves that I've overlaid in here to kind of darken in a sort of pattern over some of these areas where there's some shadow. Okay. Again, like I said, this is icing on the cake. So when I turn this off, it is something to add interest to the piece, right? Once you're fully happy with once you're fully happy with the coloring itself, right? But yeah, it's something you might choose to do if you're a little further ahead over here. So step one is for you to find an image that you would like to overlay on some portion of your portrait. For myself, I chose that image of trees because it was, I have this abundance of green in my portrait because that for me represents two things: nature and growth. I love nature, and as far as this particular time in my life, and probably most any other, but right now in particular, this is a tremendous period of growth. Some of that is pretty challenging. I recommend you go to this website called pickrepo.com. Okay, so let's start fresh. Pickrepo, so it's PIKREPO.com. This is a great website where you can search for royalty-free photos. So for myself, I just typed in trees. You can type in whatever other keyword you want, and we're looking for a photo that we're eventually going to. Let's see, we're going to make it black and white and turn it into a multiply layer. So it's not necessarily a photo like this that's all hazy, although this probably could work, right? We're looking for something that can go across your face in some way, in a compelling way. So this is the photo that I chose over here. Let's try something, well, let's keep with the same. Okay, so you go ahead and choose your photo, right, with your specific chosen subject matter, something that's meaningful to you. Okay, you want to download this and put it somewhere where you can find it. For me, I have it in the same folder with all the rest of the self-portrait files. Before we bring that photo into Photoshop, into Illustrator, we need to make some adjustments to it in Photoshop. Okay, so sorry, I'll walk you through what it looks like to download this. So you want to click on your chosen photo, click on this button, right, and save it. The thing is, it's going to be a pretty large photo to start with. So one of the other reasons for that we want to adjust the sizing of this. So open up your downloaded photo into Photoshop. Press Ctrl-Shift-U to desaturate it. If the keyboard shortcut doesn't work, you want to go up to Image, Adjustments, and Desaturate down here. Same kind of process we did for your selfies, right? Press Ctrl-L for the levels. If that shortcut doesn't work, I want to go to Image, Adjustments. Where's Levels? Yeah, Levels over here. You want to push this right side picker over here and push it to the left. And then to your liking, you want to push the left side picker to the right side. I don't have to move very far with this. For myself, I don't want so many midtones in here, so I'm going to pull my middle picker slightly to the left side. Okay, we want the image to be lighter than you normally would want it because it's going to be a subtle kind of overlay. Press OK once you're happy with the levels. And now we're going to go up to Image, Image Size, and then we're going to downsize this thing. Take your largest dimension. For me, that's my height. Okay, we need that to be no bigger than 1000 pixels. So if your units are in inches or anything like that, go ahead, switch it to pixels, and making sure this locked button is active. That's going to lock your ratio. If your width is 1,000, is the larger dimension, change that to 1,000 pixels. If your height is the larger dimension, change that to 1,000 pixels. Press OK. That's going to make our file much smaller than what you're going to get in that original size download. Okay. Save this as a separate file. I just named it tree_bw for black and white. And then over here, when you're saving it out as a JPEG, make sure the quality is maximum to 12. Press OK. And then now we have a photo that's ready to bring in here. Okay. Before we do that, though, you want to look at your self-portrait and strategize, or just think to yourself, what portion of this on my face, or maybe in the background, that's a lot simpler, but for now, I'll show you how to do that on the face, okay? But you want to be thinking, what portion of the face do I want to apply that overlay to? For myself, I thought it made sense to take the darkest portions of my portrait, which are concentrated toward the left side, particularly this shoulder over here, the left side of my face, and maybe even the hair up top. Okay, so here's what you can do. Take your live paint layer with all the colors on it, click and drag it to duplicate that layer. Okay, rename that copy, that layer you just copied, to mask. And then the layer that it came from, the live paint layer, you can lock and make it invisible. What I'm going to do now is start deleting things that I know that I don't want to apply the mask to on this new mask layer. So I don't want to apply a mask to any of my glasses or my eyes. Let's see, I kind of deleted a little too much there. So I don't need these. Oh, I see what's happening. Yeah, that's okay. So I don't need these. To make it easier for me to see, I'm going to turn off my background layer as well. You see these tiny little residual, I'm not sure what they are, but I'm going to delete these as well. So I'm trying to grab all of the dark green portions on the left side of my face. Okay. And everything else, like my lips over here, I don't want to apply that that overlay onto. Same thing over here. I just want the darkest portions concentrated toward the left side. You don't have to use the same process, obviously. You can make your own decision about where and what area of your face makes the most sense for you to apply that overlay onto. So once you've deleted everything else out that you're not going to be applying anything to, select all of these shapes, and then using your Pathfinder tool, click Unite. Okay. So this all should be united into however many shapes it breaks down into. For me, because of my glasses, it breaks down into 2 shapes. And what you just saw me do there was ungroup it. So that's what you want to do as well. It's going to be automatically grouped when you do that Pathfinder tool. Ungroup it for yourself. So this is the area where I want to experiment with in terms of applying that tree image as an overlay. Now, go ahead and navigate to the place where you have that tree image. Click and drag it into Illustrator, and it should end up in the same layer over here. The image is going to be selected by default. Okay, so go to your opacity tool over here, right? The opacity window, and bring that opacity down to somewhere like 30 or 40%. You're going to do this so that you can resize this and position it within that shape that you cut out in a way that makes sense to you. For me, I do want to see more of this tree trunk, right, coming in from the left side over here. So I'm actually going to go to Object, Transform, Reflect vertically. Okay. Your image, you want to resize it to however you need in order to have it as much coverage as you want within this area that you chose. Okay. Let me see. So let's say that's about what I'm looking for. Once you're happy with the positioning, here's what you can do is set the opacity of the image back up to 100. Left click on it, click arrange and send to back. Okay. What I would also recommend doing from here, although it might not be clear as to why immediately, actually, sorry to jump back and forth. Let's try this. Let's try this clipping mask out first. So make sure your shapes are in front, right? The thing is, you can only apply clipping masks to one closed shape at a time. So I got to do this operation twice. Okay, so because of that, you're going to want to, if that's your similar case, you're going to want to click on your image, press Control C to have it in the available in the clipping board. So I'm going to select both my image and the bottom shape. Right click, click Make Clipping Mask. I just lost my image, right? But in order to get it back, since it's in the clipping board, I can press Control B to copy it to the back. Now I can select the top shape along with that same image in the same positioning. Right click and click Clipping Mask. Okay. So I'm not too happy with this little just that much of the tree being visible there. No problem. You can double click and then reposition the image relative to oops. Yeah, so what I just did there was I accidentally clicked and dragged the mask itself. We don't want to drag the mask because the positioning of that we want to have it consistent. However, you do want to click and drag this this large frame that represents the frame of the image. Okay, so you can kind of play with that. You can double click out of that isolation mode. So here we have two clipping masks with that tree overlay masked out. When you turn on your previous layer, the live paint layer, it's going to look really weird. Don't worry. What we want to do is go up to the mask layer, click on this button, okay? Doing that is going to select all of the objects within that particular layer. Now that you have the mask or the image masked out selected right over here, you're going to go up to the opacity again, change the mode, the blending mode to multiply. Okay, there you should be able to see the colors on the bottom, and the black and white image that you prepared is darkening whatever areas in the on the colors underneath wherever it's black. Okay, or yeah, it's just darkening the bottom layer. So you can play here with the mask in a couple different ways. With the mask selected, you can tone down the opacity to make it more subtle. Right? Obviously, that's a wholesale change. So everything, right? Everything is going to get lighter if you do this. Let's say I do want things to be lighter around the face area, but not necessarily in the body. I like the amount of darkness that I'm getting over here. So here's a more advanced technique you can use to kind of customize that for yourself. You can add ellipses with gradients, okay, to each of these masks over here. So if I'm fine-tuning this and I decide I don't want the tree leaves to be visible over my nose or my chin area like this. I want it to kind of fade out. Same thing over here. I want it to sort of fade out by the time it gets to this edge where the yellow, the neutral yellow is visible. Okay. What you can do is select the mask, and then here you're going to be able to click into the grouping that contains the image. Okay, you access that by double clicking. In this layer, using the ellipse tool, you want to draw an ellipse and then apply a gradient to this thing. So up in the gradient tool, let's apply a radial gradient. On the left side, you want to have it white, the color to be white, and the right side, we can also set this color to white. The important thing is, though, that on the right side, you set the opacity to 0. Okay? This middle marker over here, you're likely going to want to push it closer to the right side. Essentially, now you have a sort of eraser, like a gradient eraser almost, that you can use and position in order to fade things out. Okay, I'm going to press this back button to bring me back in terms of the levels, and now I'm seeing a bit of a fade happening over here in that particular area I wanted it to. I don't see any of the leaves in the nose anymore, and I'm a little happier with that result. Let's do the same thing up over here, okay, for this particular mask. So let me walk through step by step for you. Select the mask, double click once more into the image area, and I know I want to fade this out in that same kind of subtle way. So once you can see the whole image, draw another ellipse, make it a radial ellipse. Okay, the left color of the ellipse wants, and the gradient wants to be a white with 100% opacity. On the right, you want to see the same white with 0% opacity, and then you can move this around in order to apply a more subtle kind of fade out. You can press the back arrow over here to see if you like the effect. I think I want to push the circle down a little more, so I'm going to double click into the isolation mode. And then you can adjust this pretty freely to get the desired effect. Okay. Now that we have that, let's turn the background back on, make sure I like it. I think this is kind of nitpicking, but I want to start fading out the tree texture from the left side over here now. So all I'm going to do is click and drag this circle while holding Alt to copy it over here. And maybe I'm going to shrink the size of it. Oops. So really be careful. The mistake I almost made right there was clicking and dragging the mask position. We want to keep all those in the same place. Okay, and maybe I want to fade it out a little more in the ear. So I'm going to double click on this particular mask, click and drag the circle while holding Alt, reduce the size of it, probably not by that much, and then apply a light fade around the ear and see what that looks like. Yeah, I'm a little happier there. Okay, so that's how you can choose an image, a raster image, prepare it in Photoshop, and also apply masks to it while applying some like fading out. I'm not sure what to call it, but drawing those ellipses with gradients to fade them out in particular strategic spots. Hopefully this is useful for you guys. Yeah, good luck with it. I'll see you in class.